Hey, math friends. So our learning target today is a combination of the skills that we've been working recently. I can add, I can subtract, I can multiply, and I can divide integers. Now we've talked about what integers are, right? Those whole values that are positive, negative, and 0. So we're going to start off with some review of how do we add, subtract versus how do we multiply, divide. And then we're going to combine all of those and see if you're able to distinguish between the skills as we go. So here we go. So the review of addition and subtraction. The idea of tug of war, who has the stronger team. So reminder that the sign in front is kind of like the jersey name, the team name. So this team would be the negative team. So we have 3 players. I just made a mistake there. We have 3 players on the negative team. And we have 5 players on the positive team. Who's stronger? Positive is stronger. How many extra players? 2 extra players, because the positive team has 5, the negative team has 3. So that's a review of the work we were doing recently. So now let's take a look at the next example. First number is 9, and you don't see a sign, so we say it's positive. So we are going to put those 9 players on team positive on that side of the tug of war. The other team has 10 players on it on the negative team. Again, this is the jersey, the name of the team. The sign in front is the jersey name on the front of the jersey. So who's stronger? Negative is stronger. How many extra players? 1 extra player, so -1. So go ahead and pause the video at any time if you're struggling, rewind it if you need to. The next problem is pretty obvious, right? That 4 plus 19 would be 13. We've been doing that forever. But how does that work in our situation or in our tug of war? Well, the 4 players out front, we're going to identify them as team positive. And the 9 players on the back, we're going to grab their jersey number on the front, and that means that they're also on team positive. So the team that wins clearly is positive with 13 players. Nobody showed up for team negative. Okay, here we go. Keep going. So we're going to do these 3 and continue to review that process. You have an opportunity on the last slide to try some of these on your own. Next example. Which team? Negative. Which team? What's their jersey name? Negative. Who wins? Negative. How much stronger? 40 players on team negative. 40 players on team negative. Okay, the next one is that tricky little situation we've talked about. I'm going to get rid of that here. Okay, so that first number out front is 15. What's the jersey? Positive, because we don't see a sign. So positive 15. 15 players show up for the positive team. Team on the back, negative. Uh-oh, we have that opposite situation that says we have to take the opposite of, which means it's a chop and a chop. Now we have an addition problem, and we have, because of that opposite situation, those players now are showing up on team positive. So that really becomes like 15 plus 2. So our result of that would simply be positive 17 players. Nobody ended up showing up on team negative. So let's take a look at what that situation was. I'm going to erase this just so we can take a peek at that quick. Notice that it was 15 minus -2. 15 minus -2. In that situation, this really turns into an addition problem. So just pay attention to that. Okay, last one in the review for addition and subtraction in our work. So the first sign here is -7. 7 players on team negative. The back sign is -20. Pause. The sign in the middle says addition, add. It does not say opposite, so we don't have to take the opposite of anything. So we are going to just add simply there. So we have 7 players on team negative and 20 players also on team negative because we're not taking the opposite, which results in team negative winning. And the result of that is 27. -27. So that's our review for addition, subtraction. Let's go review multiplication and division, and then we're going to mix them all up and see how we do. Okay, so multiplication and division. Let's see what we have. Can't get these to move. I'm just going to slide them over then. Sorry about that. See if I can delete all this. There we go. Multiplication and division is the triangle method. So we just simply multiply the numbers and we look at signs. So here we go. Multiplication of these numbers would be 36. 4 times 9, 36. First number is negative 4. Second number is positive 9. So the result of that would be negative 36. Triangle method review. Next problem. This is a division sign. That means division. Every fraction we ever see in math class is a division problem, something that's not always recognized. So we have 16 divided by 4 is 4. Sweet. The top number is negative, so we're going to cross off a negative. The bottom number is positive, so we're going to cross off a positive. The resulting sign then would be negative 4. At any point, pause this video if you need. Otherwise, we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. 50 divided by 5 is 10. Let's take a look at what sign is it. The first sign is negative 50. The second sign is negative 5. So the resulting sign of that would be positive 10. Positive 10 is a result. Here we go, here we go. Next problem, 20 multiplied by 3. So that would be 60. That might be a little more difficult for some of you to do in your head, but I'm just basically doing 2 multiplied by 3 and then dragging that 0 with me in that process. That's kind of what I'm doing in my head, mental math. All right, so that first sign is negative. That second sign is negative. The result of that, of course, would be positive 60. Positive 60. You can see how those two negatives multiply out to a positive. They cancel each other out there. All right, what about multiple steps? Multiple steps, we just simply group them. We're just gonna have to use a triangle more than once down here. So we get an 18. Let's put it in the triangle. Positive on the 6, negative on the 3. The resulting side of that is negative 18. However, we're not done. Grouping the same in the back. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. We have a negative on the 1 here. We have a positive on the 2. The resulting sign of that is negative 2. The operation between these is multiplication. So I'm going to use those parentheses. Now this might be a little tricky to do in your head as well. How do we double 18 or multiply by 2? 18 multiplied by 2, I'll help you out there, is 36. And let's take a look at another triangle. So if I build myself another triangle here, what happens? Well, I end up with negative on the 18, negative on the 2. So the result of that would be positive 36. And no, you don't have to write the positive sign in math class, but I'm just writing it there so at least you can see that I'm thinking about what is the sign. I'm not ignoring that. Okay, so the last review problem on division. So we're going to group those together. So we have 45 divided by 9 is 5. We have a negative on the 45, a positive on the 9, so the resulting side of that is negative 5. If I haven't used it, drag it down, drag it down, drag it down. Because I haven't used that 5 on the back end yet, so I'm going to drag it down, drag it down, drag it down. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And we have negative on the 5, first 5, and we have a positive on the back 5, which results in a negative 1 is our final answer. So that's the review of multiplication and division. All right, so now let's mix it up. So we have to figure out what operation to use for these. Okay, so here we go, guys. At any point, pause, slow down, give it a shot. So I'm going to go through these, and then the next page will be kind of your worksheet of like what do you know, what do you need help with. Okay, so this first one's going to be a triangle because it is multiplication. You have to identify that. Negative, negative is a positive 10. 2 times 5 is 10. Negative, negative is a positive result. Triangle because it's multiplication. Problem number 2. is not multiplication. It's a tug of war. So if we tug of war, we end up with 7 players on team positive, 10 players on team negative. Who's stronger? Negative is stronger. How many extra players? 3. Because that was a subtraction problem, and for subtract, we tug of war. Question 3. Addition. Addition, we tug of war. How many players on this first team? Well, the first team is 6, positive 6. The second team, the jersey out front is negative. Now check out that sign in between. Does that say opposite? No, it does not. So we have 9 players showing up for team negative. Team negative is stronger. They have 3 extra players. The result of that is -3. Problem number 4, division. Division is a triangle. And eventually you start to just have the feel for this, that you wouldn't have to be creating these tug of wars and these triangles. But for this first unit, I'd like you to give it a shot. 25 divided by 5 is 5. We have a negative on the 25. We have a positive on the 5. So the result of that is -5. Question 5 you've known since elementary school. It's just 70. Does it work in the triangle? Well, not really. So when we plug it in, we have a positive 10. And then we go look at our positive 7 and we're like, what is going on? That's that like, oh, duh situation that of course it's positive. Positive times positive is always positive. Question number 6 is division. Division is a triangle. So we have 30 divided by 10 is 3. But what sign is it? Triangle. In our triangle, positive 30, -10. The result of that would be -3. So multiply, divide is the triangle. Add, subtract is tug of war. Question number 7. 50 divided by 25 is 2. That's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The top one, we have a -50 divided by a positive 25. The resulting sign of that is -2. Question number 8 is a subtraction problem. I get there's a negative in there, but it is technically a subtraction problem. And when we do subtraction, we tug of war. So that first team has a 6. What's their jersey? Positive. Why? Because we don't see a sign in front. The back side team is negative. Their jersey is negative. However, we have this uh-oh situation that says we got to take the opposite of that. So we are going to chop and a chop, which results in addition. So now we have 2 players on team positive as well. So the result of that becomes 6 plus 2, 8, positive 8. Okay, so we have 1 problem left. Looks like I have a little boo-boo down here. Let me delete that. Okay. Sorry about this, stylus. It's really not as easy to do as if we were in class here. But 50 divided by 5 is 10. Let's take a look at our sign. Last step of this problem. We have a negative on the 50. We have a negative on the 5. The result of that, of course, is positive 10. So that's what we call mix it up. Are you able to identify each of those skills? You will have an entire page of practice right here. It looks like I have 9 problems ready to go for you. I'd like you to pause the video. I know we're at 14 minutes already, but this is a super important skill. Pause the video at this point. Give these 9 a shot. Try not to use a calculator to make sure that we're trying to do these skills without a calculator, because if we were in class, that would be the expectation. When you're ready, then push play and we're going to go over those. Okay, so you should have had time to do that. Let's see how you did, friends. I'd like you to grade your paper just so you can see how you did. So this problem here is addition, so we tug of war. We have 4 players on team positive. That's their jersey, positive. We have 10 players on team negative. Let's check out that sign in between. It says add. It doesn't say opposite. So we're just simply going to add. The team that wins is negative. It has 6 extra players. -6 is the result of that. We now have 48 divided by 8 on the next question. Let's see how you did. So again, this is kind of like a 9-point check-in. Let's see if you can go 9, 4, 9. 48 divided by 8 is 6. If you haven't tried them all, I'd like you to pause the video as we go. Please be true to yourself and make sure that you're giving a good attempt. This is your education, right? You got this. We have a negative on the top, negative 48. We have a negative on the bottom. The result of that would be positive 6. And no, you don't have to write the positive sign there, but I'm going to be doing that as we go. Okay, so hopefully we're 2 for 2. Next problem is a triangle. Why? Because it is multiplication. When two parentheses hit each other, remember we're multiplying. Well, 9 times 3 is 27. We have a positive on the 9. We have a negative on the 3. The result of that is negative 27. 3 for 3, anyone? Anyone? I hope so. Next problem, tug of war. Why? Because it's addition. We tug of war. We battle it out. First team, 9 players shows up on the first team. Show up, rather. We have 5 players show up on the other team. Who's stronger? Negative. How many extra players? 4. Result, negative 4. We have 5 left. I hope we are 4 for 4. Division is the operation. That's 31. Or that's 3, rather. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Who's the math teacher? All right, let's do it. Triangle. All division problems are triangle problems. The first number has a negative. The second number has a positive. The result of that is negative 3. Grade those papers. Well, hopefully you're 5 for 5. Here we go. Here we go. We are going to tug of war right here, right here. Tug of war. That first team is positive. 13 players show up. That second team is negative. 19 players show up. Let's check out that sign in between. Does that say opposite? No, then we're simply just going to add. We have more players on team negative. They're stronger, they win. How many more? 6. That's supposed to be a 9, but I'm having a hard time there. So it should be negative 6 is your result. Okay, here we go. 3 left. We got this. We can do this. This problem here is multiplication, and it's a multi-step problem. So we're going to have to kind of just chunk it 2 at a time and go. So 4 times 1 is 4. No big deal there. The sign, if I create a triangle under here, we have positive, negative, negative. So we have a negative 4. We have a positive 1. The result on that is negative 4. All right. Next chunk. 5 times 5 is 25. Let's check out our sign. We have a negative on the 5. We have a negative on the 5. The resulting sign on that is positive 25. So now we're not done yet. Basically 4 quarters for $1, right? What's 4 times 25? Think. It's 100. Hopefully you had enough time to solve that because you paused the video and did it. Now, what's the sign? Well, the first number is negative 4. The second number is positive 25. So the result of that is negative 100. Negative 100. We have 2 left. I am hoping for 9 for 9, 100%. Let's do it. Now, next problem. We have tug of war happening. We have an addition sign in between those. Let's see what happens. First team, 10 players. Negative. Second team, 14 players. Negative. The sign in between does not say opposite. It says add. So we're going to add those 14 players to the team negative. The result of that is that all of these players are on team negative. So negative 24 is the result of that. Last problem of the day. 25 minus 35 is a tug of war. Okay, so we have 25, positive 25. We have 25 people that showed up to tug of war. I'm going to delete all this so I have some space to write. Let's do it. Okay, and what happens on the back side? We have 35 kids that show up on the negative team. Who's stronger? Negative. More people. How many extra people? You can finger count it if you need. 10. So the result of that is negative 10. So let's talk quick summary, and then we are out for today. So when you add or subtract, you tug of war. The only time it's tricky is when you have this situation like negative 6 minus negative 2, let's say. Remember, this means opposite. So this really becomes an addition problem. So that's just the only like little trick thing. And then finally, if you're multiplying or you're dividing, we set up this triangle. The triangle does not work when you have two positives, like 2 multiplied by 5. But that's kind of like a doi, that's positive 10. So that is it for our work of reviewing the last couple days of integers. You did a great job today. Keep it up. You got this. You can do this. And have a glorious night. I'm really proud of you. Good job, math friends.